So I'd like to welcome everybody. I'm Tom Hine with the Kansas Department of Transportation, and we are here today for a very exciting announcement from Amtrak. But first, let's hear from Pete Meisner, Wichita City Council member. Pete has an interest in this, and I think he'll have some good words for us to hear.
Good morning. Thank you, Tom. As many of you have worked with us through the last few years in pursuing passenger rail service, it's been a mission that we've been trying to do. We've been doing it in a responsible way and in a responsible manner. So today's a big day, but it's a small step. It's a big step. It's a next step, whatever kind of step you want to say. But it is a positive step regardless. And so I wanted to just introduce a couple of people, and then we'll get on with the main part. But first, I want to make sure that Secretary Mike King is welcome. Thank you, Mike and Joel Skelly, for your. Where's Joel at? Joel. Anyway, thanks for your support through this journey. It's been a lot of fun, actually. So thank you. Next to Mike is Mark Magliari. Mark is from Amtrak, and he will have some really good details to share with us in a few minutes. And Mark, thanks to you and Ray Lang for your efforts through this as well. We also have the mayor of Newton, Barth Haig, and Glenn Davis, and Barth Haig, and Senator Carolyn McGinn has been she's with us. She's been a very strategic friend and partner on this journey. Then we have our city council members. We got our mayor, Jeff Longwell, council member James Clendenin, and council member Levanta Williams. So that's the group you have up here, and all of these people have been supportive. Again, I want to just introduce them all. This will be available for comments afterwards as you hear the details. And so thanks again for being here.
I've spent the weekend in Kansas. I'm based in Chicago. I rode our train, the Southwest Chief, out of Chicago on Friday afternoon. Arrived in Dodge City on Saturday morning. We had an event in Dodge City and Cimarron and Garden City to thank the folks who helped us out there with the incident we had last month. There are good things happening all across the Sunflower State. If you take a look at those stations in that part of Kansas, the investments that those communities have made in Garden City and Dodge, if you go to Hutchinson and see the station we have there, maybe get a cup of coffee at the bakery, it's in our station in Hutchinson. If you go to Newton, and now our station in Newton is going to be open 7 days a week because of this new service that starts today, that's going to run every night between Newton and Wichita and Oklahoma City. There are only two places in the country where you can make a north-south connection on an Amtrak train, and this is one of them. We're going to have fares from here to Kansas City as low as $60 each way per person, fares from here to Fort Worth as low as $64 each person, and you're going to connect to more than 500 destinations in the Amtrak network. You're going to find that more and more people are going to find that Wichita is back on the map as far as Amtrak's concerned. I don't know where all of you were in 1979, but that's the last time the Lone Star ran on this route, was 1979. We lost that route at the time we lost a lot of other trains across the national network. Well, those days are behind us. Wichita is back on the Amtrak map. The schedules are available at Amtrak.com. It's a one-seat ride on this bus up to Newton to go east and west as far as Chicago or as far as Los Angeles. It's a one-seat ride on this bus from Wichita down to Oklahoma City onto our Heartland Flyer train to connect to our Texas Eagle in Dallas and Fort Worth. So we are very happy that local leadership and state leadership is what's taken us to where we are today. The folks in Wichita, from Pete and the mayor and the whole city council, your state senator and the Midwest Passenger Rail Compact, and mayors and city councils, state departments of transportation, great operators of chartered buses, and you, our passengers, all together are going to get us more connections to more places in Wichita to the rest of the world, to 46 states in the Amtrak network, 1 District of Columbia, and 3 Canadian provinces, all ticketed on Amtrak.com, all starting today. And we're very glad to be here for this. Thank you.
Just like everybody said, we're real excited about this, and at Village, we're real excited to be part of this. We're a great fit, we believe. We have offices in Wichita and Oklahoma City, so we have equipment in both locations, so we can catch and receive on both sides. And we'd invite anybody that hasn't been on a charter bus in a long time to step on board these coaches. This is the type of coach that will be on this service. They're very nice, very comfortable, and they go plenty fast down the interstate. So anyway, again, we're real excited about it. And as a tour company, we also use Amtrak a lot. Our customers really like riding by rail. And so anytime we can combine coach and rail on a tour to the East Coast, we do that all the time. And so now we've got it right in our backyard. So anyway, we're excited to be a part of it. And just encourage anybody, if you haven't been on a coach in a while, take a look at it and you'll see what it's like. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Mr. Mayor, City Council, Senator, thank you for being here. This is a great day for Kansas transportation. We are happy to be here and happy to partner with Amtrak once again. The last several years, we've had many partnerships with Amtrak on our Tiger Grant applications. I've been very successful with them, and again, proudly stand beside you here today. Kansas transportation is about more than just roads and bridges. Today, we're here to celebrate this service that we hope will lead to continued rail service in the future. A growing percentage of our population chooses alternate routes, alternate means of transportation, meaning bus, rail, aviation, all within the Kansas Department of Transportation. The I-35 corridor is the most significant connection in the central United States. Through this route, our local goods and services, exports and imports, tourists, university students, and workforce connect as a region. This travel option will, in a positive way, touch us all. In the early 1970s, I was on this train route going to Oklahoma City from Newton, so I'm really glad that we're able to have this be the first step into giving Kansans this choice again. Again, thank you, Amtrak, for the continued partnership and delivering a service that meets our current and our long-term needs. Thank you.
Start out with explain what made you guys, are we seeing more ridership, or is there more people riding from here? What led to this?
What led to this is great local leadership. It's not unusual for us to hear from mayors and city council members and state DOTs about this, that, or the other thing, but these folks have been very relentless in making it clear that this is a hole in the Amtrak network. You know how close Newton is, you know how close Oklahoma City is, and there's this gap. And Pete and the Midwest Interstate Rail Passenger Compact, and we have been saying for a long time, how do we fill this gap? There's been talk about putting train service back here. And there's plenty of places in the country where bus service has grown to become train service. And that, I think, is a lot of people's hope. But the fastest way to fill this gap, to connect these two routes, is by working with a great local provider here in Wichita with Village and with the communities at either end to fill it right now with the bus connection. The bus connection, if you look at the old schedules for the train that used to go through here in the 70s, are actually pretty close to the same time of day. That train used to break off the Southwest Chief at Newton and come down as a train. We're going to use a bus for the time being, but if we start filling these buses and we get more and more people talking about putting trains back here, there's plenty of places all over the country where we run partnerships with bus companies. We're trains some of the time and bus part of the time. It would be great if we could do the same thing here in the central U.S. There was no way to connect on the Southwest Chief but anywhere between Colorado and Chicago until today when this service started. So we're looking to run a lot of business back and forth. We kind of quietly put it in the system last week, and I got an email on Friday with someone saying, hey, someone from Fresno has already bought a ticket to Wichita, which they couldn't have done until this was in the system. So we're going to see more and more business, and maybe Fresnoians will come here more often.
Absolutely. Let me add to that. real quickly here because it really did take the work of Councilmember Pete Meisner and some others that were instrumental in keeping this going. But it changed as they kept it going when we started talking to some of the other mayors in the area. I mean, before it was Wichita wanting to connect. When those other mayors truly found out that they needed to connect to Wichita as much as we wanted to connect to them and the value of them connecting to Wichita, that's when people started literally changing so that we could make this all come to fruition. So it certainly was keeping this hope alive with several, but it's others seeing the value of connecting to Wichita that made the difference.
As far as
What I forgot to add, because as you see this wonderful bus behind us, we can now say in Wichita, it takes a village to connect us to the world.
You've been wanting to say that. Thanks for
Your new slogan.
Why is it staging out of this bus station instead of the municipal?
We're working on renovations that will allow us to move it all together, and so the hope is that we eventually move this over into our transit center, and then beyond that, once we bring rail back to Wichita, potentially we'll move it all to Union Station. So, but we've got to do some remodeling before we can move this all with the transit center, and that's already in the process. That's already been approved.
as far as ridership goes, and I don't know if as far as ridership goes,
Amtrak has set ridership records for 8 of the last 10 years. Consistently, we've been running more than 30 million passengers a year across our network. We expect to continue to grow that. And examples are like here in Wichita. There are places that are top 50 markets that simply weren't on the map. Wichita is now on that map. So we expect the network strength of people trying to get to a place as popular and as lovely and today as wet as Wichita to want to take the train to the bus to get to Wichita. So we grow the network by growing connections, and this is the new connection.
generally speaking, any idea how many people from the Wichita area ride the train?
A lot of people we know drive up to Newton, and we expect some of that will continue. We expect a lot of this will be connecting business, that people trying to get to Wichita who don't have a car, don't need a car, don't want a car. In 1979, my first child was born, and he's of the last generation where someone gets to be 16 and really has to have a car, right? If you talk to more and more young people, especially in cities this size and others, who defer buying cars, they don't want to own a car, they don't need a car, they don't want to own a car full time, they are a growing part of our business. People who just don't want to mess with the car, they want to get to where they want to go without that. Just like, you can safely text and safely read while riding a bus or a train, things you really shouldn't be doing while you're driving. So we are in a good sweet spot for that, and this is another top 50 market that's now back on our map because of this.
Thanks, Mark. He points out a good point. That was part of the discipline and the analysis that we went through, was understanding that we were one of only 2 or 3 major cities that did not have service. But what Mark also referred to is now, and then we also got into the pricing, and they have made this pricing incredible. For $64, you buy your ticket here, you get on the bus, you get on the train, and you're in Fort Worth, and vice versa going to Kansas City for $60. So now you don't have to drive to Newton. You can if you want to, but you can do these things, and you can do them right here. So there's been a lot of very logical and very, very impactful information that came into this decision and their decision to grow this. And thanks again, Mark, for that. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.